The 10th round of the 2022 season for the Outsider Racing League takes the field of drivers to Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. This is the 10th round of the 2022 championship. You're watching Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian Dacuna for tonight's 80-lap event. Finian, welcome aboard. Michigan International Speedway is fast, it's fun. It doesn't have quite enough banking for the straightaways here, so you end up with a lot of really awesome side-by-side action, top and bottom and everywhere in between. Tonight, Xfinity Class B action. 80 laps from Michigan.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing these guys get underway. They've been putting on some fantastic racing all season long. Very hard racing, very clean racing. Can't wait to see them get them down under here. 2.5 miles of Michigan, the high banks, to see what they can do.
Brooklyn, Michigan is home to just about 1,200 people, relatively small town. The track was constructed back in 1968. It's been a NASCAR staple ever since then. The racing career of Chip Ganassi ended here after an accident in 1984. Again, my name is Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian Dacuna. Qualifying is just about to begin. 18 drivers here tonight. Jeremy Miller, currently quickest in practice. We're going to head into qualifying momentarily, then we'll have an 80-lap race to finish things out tonight. And 80 laps, Finian, we're talking pre-event. That's pretty short. That's a pretty short race here. So there's some things to consider in terms of pit strategy and how aggressive you're going to be from the get-go.
Yeah, and also then you mentioned Jeremy Miller up at the top of the standings in practice. How about Brian Chandler sitting in second? Haven't really heard a whole lot of him ever since he won at Daytona. It's been very quiet from the night machine. We'll see if he's got one last hurrah before the chase begins.
Connor Horn will join us from pit lane. Connor, welcome aboard. Round number 10 here from Michigan. This is an interesting round because this is one of the bigger tracks we're to go to this season, sans the restrictor plate tracks.
This is definitely the biggest track we've gone to in a while. By the way, Brian Chambliss won Atlanta, not Daytona.
Yeah, I was just looking at the standings. I'm like, oops.
That's why it's my job.
That. Oops.
It's my job, not yours. But yes, this is one of the bigger tracks we are going to go to on the circuit. It's not exactly Auto Club, but it is a little bit comparable to what will be the finale race once we get to the chase, as we see Jeremy Miller spinning off of pit exit. Talk about how fast he is, how fast Brian Chambliss has been. Those are the two you're going to look at for that battle for the final 10 chase spots. That's how you exit pit road normally. But those two separated by 15 points coming into today, and no one's really close to them as far as Ben Lafter, who's 81 points behind Chambliss. So it's really Miller beat Chambliss for that final chase spot. Finian can't contain himself. But hopefully these drivers can contain themselves because it's going to be a tough race to go side by side. It's really tough to get a bottom line going here. Going side by side here, you're almost asking for trouble off the corners.
Well, I can't contain myself either. This is going to be a fun one tonight, Saturday night. And it's not short track racing. We're going racing on the 2-mile speedway tonight. And Connor, as you mentioned, this is the largest track we've been to in a while now, Finian, and that changes some strategies as well. It's not really your bump and bang and trading paint sort of night. This is the night where you got to stay off of the fence and stay out of your friends.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking with last week's race winner, Jeff Wright, did fantastic at the tracks under a mile. Iowa, Bristol, North Wilkesboro, he won all of them. Again, however, we're going in a big jump in distance in the way you drive and the way you attack this racetrack. So I expect to see Wright near the top of the standings. We'll have to see if that 48 is going to be back in victory land. That's going to be the big question. He's been coming off of a huge amount of momentum with 3 wins in the last 5 weeks. We're looking at Chad Klinger, though. Speaking of Chad Klinger, haven't heard a lot out of him. He's been close to the top of the standings, never quite been able to seal the deal. Still waiting on a race win and is currently sitting 7th in the standings.
Connor, Chad Klinger has been progressively getting better at feels in terms of where he's running, but the finishes perhaps still need to improve if he really wants to be a serious champion contender. How do you go from running 5th, 6th, 7th to running 2nd, 3rd, 4th and putting yourself in contention to win these races?
Just being more cautious and maybe thinking more about survival rather than just going all out brawl style for your racing. He hasn't finished the best in most of the races, only 2 top 5s to his credit. One of them last week at 2nd place at Iowa, but he just hasn't finished the races really where he deserves to because he's a little bit too aggressive at times. And there have been times when he's been caught out by pit strategy, but he just needs to be a little bit more consistent. Really just stop going for all-out moves, 3 wide, 4 wide, stuff like that. You got to calm it down. Got to bring yourself down a little bit, be more realistic. Better strategy as well can help with that. But you just got to be more overall calm in the race car. No brash moves. Just has to be calm, cool, and also very collected.
Well, he's currently the quickest driver on the timing and scoring screen, at least for the time being. Miller, Massey, Welker, and Moore dropping on below him. Everybody so far below Chad Klinger as he works his way around for his 2nd lap. There's Ryan Kish up to 2nd place by 0.06 of a second. And Finian, we see Ryan Kish back, as well as his teammate Mitch Welker, who missed a week last week. week, and that was a critical week to miss because Mitch Welker was second in the championship. He drops to third, 52 points out of the top.
Yeah, he really needs to start getting some. I mean, we expect to see him getting some solid finishes in. Again, was out with doing real life stuff, so had to miss Iowa, and he was really upset by that because he feels like he could have done very well at that track. Currently, now he's qualified 7th. I believe he's finished his qualifying attempt, so going to be starting around midfield in the 76 car.
Brian Chambliss goes second quick, and nobody seemed to improve on their second lap except for this man right here, Brian Chambliss, and Andrew Tuggenoff, and a couple others spread throughout the field. But, Connor, that's an interesting point. A lot of drivers ran their best lap on their first lap out. Does that tell us anything about the tires tonight? Does that tell us anything about the weather tonight either, or is that just depends on the driver and it's all in my head?
I think there is a little bit to be said about that. It's not really a track that you're going to be nice on tires, even though the surface does look very new, newer than Michigan probably does now. These tires are going to wear out. I saw a tire fall off around 2 seconds. Jeremy Miller's tires, after about 15 laps in practice, the right front was already down to 84%. The wear is going to be very right front heavy today. Got to do very well to save it. Shallow entries of the corners, not getting on the throttle in the center, being very cautious on exit. We're going to see a lot of tire saving come into play today. Not really the track you expect tire wear to really come into play. It doesn't really usually play that way, especially because we've been running the Gen 6 cars in ORL over the past 2 or 3 years. But in these Xfinity cars, you have to save those tires. That right front cannot wear out or you're going to be going to the back of the field.
Jeff Wright up to second on his opening lap at 39.106. 3 wins on the season. His win ratio so far is 33%. So he's been rock solid. But as we mentioned last week, Finian, all of those wins have come on tracks less than a mile. Is there anything that he needs to do to unlock the magic elsewhere? Or do you think he's still going to perform at a high level throughout the rest of the season, regardless of where he's best at?
I mean, we definitely have seen him perform well in the past at quite a few tracks. Just he seemed to be extraordinarily dominant at the short tracks. Definitely still a quick car on the bigger ovals, and showing that clearly here by only missing pole by 0.08 of a second, just behind Chad Klinger. Brian Chambliss up there in third, showing he still has that beat speed from practice. Same thing can be said for Jeremy Miller sitting in 5th. As we looked at the 69 car, Zach Passon putting in his qualifying lap, so he's good to go.
He's already done with his laps. He's just running extra for practice. 13th best. Okay. No qualifying time for Dale Adamson nor for Doug South, so those 2 drivers will start from the tail of the field. Qualifying is complete. Chad Klinger is your pole sitter. We were talking about him in the pre-race here, that he has been running better but not getting those finishes, but he is certainly getting the starting position tonight. Pole for the number 09 as we head into our 80-lap event tonight. So, qualifying complete. Klinger and Wright will be your front row. We'll roll through the entire order here shortly, and we'll head down to the racetrack. Should this race go green from start to finish, we'll be done in 52 minutes. That is a heck of a quick race, so we'll keep that in mind when we talk about strategies here this evening. Now down to the racetrack, and we'll begin to roll through our starting lineup as soon as we get a couple more drivers on the grid. Doug South will join all the way at the tail. Still no sight of Dale Adamson in this session. We haven't seen him in qualifying. He is not yet gridded either. And
he is. Oh yeah, it's weird. It's showing as if he is here, but he's not here. Oh, you know why? No, that's weird. It showed that he lost connection, like he got packet loss, so that's why it's not showing him here. So, but his name is highlighted as if he was here, though there's no ping in quality. So it's kind of weird what iRacing is doing. He's here, but he's not here.
Well, he's only got a couple of minutes. Connor, any last thoughts here before we get rolling? And we'll see you on pit lane later, I guess.
I'm interested to see what Chad Klinger can do starting from the pole. Don't remember him starting on pole for any previous races, so we'll see how this goes. He's got the points leader, Jeff Wright, alongside him, who extended his point lead to 46 points. Biggest point lead of a season for Wright. And we're talking about how he might have to perform better on the bigger tracks because we don't go to any more short tracks. I wouldn't say he really has to perform much better. Just winning's the last key for these bigger tracks because he's finished top 10 in every race so far this season. So consistency isn't his issue. He just has to get that one win at a bigger track. Then he's more of a championship favorite than he already is.
All right, well, Connor, we'll see you on pit lane a little bit later. Finian, now let's roll through the starting lineup here for our 18-car grid. On row number 1, kicking things off, it's going to be the number 09, Chad Klinger, his first pole of the season. Jeff Wright, 3-time winner this season in 9 races, will start in second at number 48.
And moving on back to row number 2, we have Brian Chambliss starting on the inside in the number 9 car, see if he can get win number 2 this season for him. Ryan Kish qualifying after the 42, up in 4th place.
In row number 3, Jeremy Miller in the number 30. He'll start 5th. Bailey Turner on the 24 car. He'll roll off 6th on the outside of that 3rd row.
You find Andrew Tuggenoff sitting in 7th place in the 3 car, currently 2nd in the point standings after taking over that place from Mitch Welker. You're going to be starting there. Next to him, Casey Licata starting off at 8th in the 50 car.
In 9th place, row 5, Ray Massey's number 23, and Bryce Calusa in the number 20 in 10th.
Moving on back to 11, 76 Mitch Welker, back in 3rd in the standings as to make up some points after last week, missing last week. And Ryan Carwell's next to him, sitting in the 71 in 12th.
In 13th place, row 7, the number 69 is Zach Passon, and John Rowland will roll off 14th in the number 96.
Moving on back, we find in row number 8, 15th, Ben Lafton, 64, next to him Mike Curley in the 32. And rounding out your field of 17 starters, we Doug South in the 56 in 17.
Dale Adamson did not make the grid for this race. We'll see if he joins a little bit later, but he will be starting down the order a little bit further than he would otherwise like to be. One last look at the weather before we kick things off here in Brooklyn, Michigan. Air temp 75, track temp 96. Might see that rise a little bit throughout the day as we prepare for our race. Again, this is going to be a quick one. Long track, but short race. And not a lot of opportunities. Only 80 times to get turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4 right. You don't get a lot of time to correct your mistakes. With that, I'd expect maybe 2 stops. Maybe 1.
Sounds about right.
We'll see. See how drivers make do. So Chad Klinger off a season-high 2nd place last week at Iowa. We'll kick things off at Michigan from the front row. The Outsider Racing League's 10th race of the season from Michigan International Speedway as they enter the restart zone. Time to go racing. We're green at Michigan. Chad Klinger leads lap 1. Wright, Chambliss, Miller, and Kish the top 5 as they come across the stripe for the first time. Klinger leads by a car length over the 48. Behind them, still some battling. Kish and the 24 of Bailey Turner side by side, and making the 30 car go middle 3 wide here at the exit of turn 2. They'll single it back out.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kish did not get the best of start, so almost got the bumper from Bailey Turner in behind, and Miller almost ended up completing the pass. Indeed, he actually did complete the pass on the 30, but now is starting to fight back on that outside lane. Everyone's stuck to the bottom, meanwhile.
Whoa, look at Mitch Welker. Has Bryce closer to the outside. Very close margins here as they creep up the racetrack. But lots of slipstream here. This track is large. It's got a lot of straightaway, a lot of speed in the corners as well. That corner speed is going to drop down much less significantly than it will later in this run. 172, the mid-speed, mid-corner, and here they are side by side off turn 2.
Yeah, great run from Jeff Wright off the corner. Chad Klinger, nothing you can really do except come back in line and head into turn number 3. So Wright, your new leader for now. I'm curious to see how long he's going to be able to stay there.
Notice everyone kind of line astern. They're all kind of running in the same tire tracks of the driver in front of them. Maybe we'll see some spreading out. 3 of Andrew Tuggenoff. He's 2nd in the points right now, 46 back from Jeff Wright. This could be a good night for him to get those points back. He tends to do better at these tracks with these long green flag runs.
Yeah. Speaking of him, he's actually being passed by Casey Licata's big dive from the 50 to the inside.
Oh, and the 24, kind of a hip check off the inside of the 42 of Kish down the back straight. So the 50 on the attack at the 3, but he's got help from Ray Massey. So it does the 3. The 23 gives him a bit of a shove, but he's still door-to-door with the blue and white Supra of Licata's through turn 3.
Yeah, Licata sneaks his way on by, so we'll clear the number 3 car. Massey sitting in behind trying to get a run off the corner, and Tuggenoff chasing the 50. Speaking of chasing down on the front, I see the guy sneaking down the front straightaway. Klinger trying to get a run on Wright, but Wright putting a block to it.
A lot of on-throttle time right now when the tires are fresh. We'll see less and less of that as they burn off throughout the day.
And up ahead, you can see Bailey Turner just getting ahead of Ryan Kish on the back straightaway. A lot of people, especially up for turn 2, using the run off the corner to get the pass done on the outside lane rather than the inside.
This track is pretty wide, and what that means is that the differential in distance from the inside to the outside is a lot more significant than you'll see at some of the intermediate-sized tracks. So you'll see that outside lane sort of get preferable as the tires begin to burn off. I think the bottom is a good place on fresh tires to make a big dive, but otherwise I think you're going to try to cheat up to the high side if you can carry that speed.
Yeah, run off the corner is really hard to beat. We've seen that quite a few weeks where drivers just typically prefer that outside lane. In fact, Iowa, we saw quite a few passes happen on the outside.
Look at Chad Klinger right back to the bumper of Jeff Wright through 3 and 4. Right back to the throttle. And again, I don't think we're going to be dealing with distances in the tenths of seconds tonight. I don't think we're going to see anybody necessarily break away significantly throughout this race. Almost looking like a race like a Daytona, but look at this shuffling here.
Yeah, Jerry Miller working to the inside and in behind, too. Casey Lacadas, he's really racy today. Making a move on Ryan Kish, trying to also work on Bailey Turner.
Trying to get the 2-for-1 special here at Michigan, and in line with the 30, who slots himself back into 4th ahead of Bailey Turner, but Kish still under fire from the 50. And you're right, Lacadas is trying to move forward. He started pretty well, started up in 8th. He's looking for his second pass of the day. The first was on the 3 of Tuggenoff, but sliding up the racetrack onto the door of the 42.
The only thing that concerns me is, we talk about it time and time again, especially at these bigger tracks, pushing yourself too early, where especially we were talking about it in the pre-race, that this track can eat up the tires if you're pushing too hard. And considering how much on throttle time these guys have, you're going to be cooking those rears. You're going to be making them work pretty hard to keep the momentum up. That right rear is going to be pretty worn if you keep slamming the throttle down.
And racecraft is important today with how close everyone is racing. If you make a little bit of a mistake, it will cost you because you're going to smash into somebody. Typically, you just kind of get loose or spin on your own, but not here. You're on top of each other. It looks a lot like a race at Atlanta, which we've seen in the past with these cars. You race very close together.
Jam is getting a decent run off the corner, trying to defend from the attack from the 30. No dice there for him.
Into turn 1. Look at everybody on top of each other. Jeff Wright has broken out to a 0.2 of a second lead, which is the largest lead we've seen, believe it or not. Here comes the 30 to the inside of the 9 and the 24. If he can fill that hole to the outside of the 30, he grabbed that spot, but Miller fills it before he can.
The door slam shot, and I think Turner's realizing not probably the best to move to the inside. Ooh, and Keith Scott has almost got stacked up and almost hit the back of the 24.
Ryan Carwile going the long way around here on Zach Passett. Carwile started this race in 12th. He's gone effectively nowhere in the first 9 laps. But as we hit lap 10, we're almost an 1/8 of the way done with this race. That's how fast this race is going to go. It's going to go very, very quickly. So every position, every moment is absolutely critical.
Yeah, the real big shakeup, I think, is going to come down when we hit those first pit stops down on pit lane. That's going to be where we're going to see a large shakeup in the order. Again, the big question is going to be, though, when are these guys going to come on down, and are they going to come in sooner or later?
Mitch Welker giving the 3-car an arrow shove off into the 3rd corner to get by Ray Massey. Not quite complete. He's tucked in behind Ryan Kish and has nowhere to go. I've seen a lot of this kind of accordion effect where you get trapped and there's really nowhere. I mean, the track is 8 lanes wide, but they're stuck nose to tail.
Yeah, there's only one particular fast lane at the moment, and everyone's been more or less sticking to it, maybe a little bit to the outside of that, but everyone wants the same amount of real estate.
Off turn 2, Jeff Wright still leads. He's led the majority of the laps so far, ahead of Chad Klinger.
Woo! Fan out in the background, almost 3 wide for a second as Tuggenoff was trying to look at the inside of Kish. Kish slowly slipping back, Massey to his outside.
Remember, Welker was behind the 3-car a couple laps ago. He's opted for the outside now. See if he can carry some more speed up top with the 23 in tow.
Yeah, problem is he's kind of wedged in here. Ooh, almost got into the 3 off the corner, but he's got nowhere to go. He's got the wall to his right, Massey in front of him, and Tuggenoff to his left, so he's kind of stuck in a box.
Seen a lot of drivers get boxed in. The 69 of Passen's going to follow Welker to the outside. Tuggenoff going the wrong direction here in the number 3.
Yeah, once you get stuck in that inside, it's like a reverse Martinsville. It's not the best thing for you, but still trying to make that work with Ryan Kish trying to get past the 42.
Wow, they're very close together. They're rubbing doors in turn 3.
Yeah, barely rubbing doors. Maybe a slight scrape of paint. Ooh, that's going to be a harder scrape of paint. 42 was going flying to the wall.
Yeah, they definitely got hooked together there and hip checked the 42 up towards the fence. And that's something that's going to be very frustrating because Kish is going to lose a whole bunch of spots. And here's what that looked like again. They just got off turn 4 and just kind of get locked together here, locking horns. The 3 pushes up half a lane, not quite clear of the 42. Great hands. He didn't even get into the fence. That was very, very good driving on Kish's part to not crash.
Yeah, you can see there's a very small little dent on the left front fender. Nothing that I think it's going to affect the car. He's going to be more or less fine. It's a slight little scrape, but definitely not going to be happy under the hood.
Lap 13 of 80, 45 minutes to go. Welker moving up to 7th now after starting in 10th. Tuggenoff on a charge, back up into 9th place after tussling with the 42, passing, Kish up another spot to grab one back.
Got a word for us, Connor?
Just talking to Jeremy Miller, he's getting a little frustrated with 09 of Chad Klinger. Those top 3 sort of controlling the field right now, Wright, Klinger, and Chambliss, and he was accusing Chad Klinger of purposefully sort of boxing Miller in so he didn't clear Brian Chambliss so all those 3 could stay in a line. So Miller sort of a little upset that his tires have been worn out by them, starting to drop back a little bit.
I think we're seeing a lot of that, right? We're seeing a lot of boxing in and plate race techniques, Connor. I mean, that's frustrating because this racetrack is so wide, but everyone seems to be condensed on the 2 lanes in the middle of the racetrack. Is that going to widen out, or is that what we can expect to see all race?
It's kind of what you expect to see from Michigan. We've seen it ever since this track was repaved. We've seen it for the past decade. The track just hasn't widened out like it used to be in the past decade. It's just really planted to that first bottom seam, and if you're lucky, you can get that other seam to work and maybe pinch the guy on the bottom. It's just how Michigan races. Is sort of what you come to expect nowadays.
Well, Casey Lakatos, Finian, you mentioned early about, shooting out of the cannon too quick and too fast. Well, it's definitely biting him. He was up as high as 6th. Now he's down in 10th, so going the wrong direction now. And certainly could have burned off some of those good years already.
Yeah, it was up 2 spots. He's now down 2 spots. And I think the bleeding might have stopped. It looks like he's kind of settled back into 10th. Has a chance to kind of just pad this run out. But yeah, that's the big thing. A lot of the guys, they seem like they're racing aggressive, but a lot of them running a little bit more conservative. I know one guy that's been a little bit probably more aggressive than some, Mitch Welker in the 76, up 4 spots from 11th into 7th place and still trying to climb forward.
Here he is in the number 76 Aeroshell car. Started 10th up to 7th place, so +3. And closing in on Ray Massey about a half a tenth quicker last time by. It was actually about only 7 thousandths off of the pace of Jeff Wright up at the front. So he certainly got the pace. And then again, he's coming off of a win just a couple weeks ago at the Charlotte Roval. He has 2 wins on the season, one at Charlotte, and then another win back at Watkins Glen. So he swept the road races this year, so definitely the Indy Road Course circled on his calendar. But I'm sure he'd like to grab one at an oval as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So it's arguably he's had quite a few decent chances of getting it done. The road course is typically his bread and butter, but still looking for that first oval win. Looked pretty good and pretty promising at Homestead earlier this season, but couldn't quite seal the deal.
Top 3 beginning to sort of break away here a little bit, Wright, Klinger, and Chambliss. Now, think back to the beginning of the season, Chambliss ending that very, very long winless streak with the win he had back at Atlanta. Is there maybe some similarities here between Atlanta and Michigan? Not necessarily from a track layout perspective, but the kind of driving that you do here. Lots of on throttle, but fast and low grip as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a decent amount of crossover between the two. I mean, typically you always see the cream of the crop rise to the top in similar tracks. But Wright has been pretty decent, as Connor mentioned in the pre-race, that he's finished in the top 10 every single race this season so far. That's no easy feat. So he's definitely had the consistency in the top part of the field, and in the wins column too. I mean, 3 wins. He's the highest, has the highest amount of race wins this season at 3. Next is 2 with Mitch Welker, and then ones all the way back from Carwell, Chambliss, Bell, and Cabot.
Here's Welker on Ray Massey. He's got Tuggenoff now, so Welker's on offense and defense at the same time. Look at the reflection on the hood of that Goodwrench car. That is very pretty. It's a very shiny number 3.
Yeah, I noticed that finish too on it. It looks obviously pretty good. it's kind of hard to mess this game up.
Gotta be running. Is he running a spec map on? There's gotta be. I don't think the cars are that shiny.
No, I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's a spec map.
It's so shiny. Welker's got kind of that satin finish on the red, which I
the finish
forgot.
you couldn't think of.
The word I couldn't think of earlier today in the MTech stream. All right, we're on lap number 20, so we're a quarter of the way through this race. Now, I want to know when drivers are going to aim for a pit lane, because at this point, you know that if you can go another 20 laps, you only need to make one stop. If you can't quite go 20, then you need to think about how you're going to break it up from here, which would mean you're going to be pitting in the next couple laps if you're going to break it up into 3 equal stints.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you're going to come. Let's see, if you're going to break it up into 2 stints, you're going to be coming in around lap 27-ish, around the mark, +2, -2 laps. And then if you're going to come in a 1 stop, obviously coming right at about halfway. Maybe stretch it a little bit more so you can get those halfway points. It's kind of what we're looking at here. I'm not noticing the tire wear be particularly bad. It's obviously the lap times have dropped a decent amount, almost 2 seconds, but as far as drivability, it doesn't look like these guys are struggling too much. So we could potentially see them carry it to lap 40. Again, a big question is, will the fuel permit that?
80% tank tells me I don't think they're going to make it all the way to lap 40. I think we're going to be pitting at lap number 27 through 33 or somewhere in there. Look at the 42 and 50. That was a little close. Lakatos has dropped to 12, so that bleeding has continued to bleed for him, unfortunately. And he's about to lose 13th if Kish can get back by him. And the 42 still fighting back from getting shuffled out with that tussle with Tuggenoff earlier in the race and hasn't fully recovered yet. Ben Lafter, we haven't talked a lot about him today. It's been a pretty quiet and not a lot of pace out of him this weekend so far.
No, he's just been kind of sitting, minding his own business in the back, riding off the coattails of Kish and Lakatos at the moment. Connor?
Speaking of Ryan Kish, he wanted to let pretty much everyone know that he feels like a Rick Ware racing car right now. We've seen him brought to the back pretty dramatically. I believe he qualified in the 4th position, all the way back to 13th, down 9 spots. He wore the tires out too much, said he's not having fun, just really struggling right now, but he does get a position right here in the turn 3.
Yeah, again, he's trying to slowly carve his way back. Tuggenoff gets by Welker, and for second place, Klinger is now holding off Brian Chambliss, but not by much. It is very close. Connor, what's our pit situation look like? We're going to split this race into 3 segments?
Yeah, most likely. Not too far away from pit stops. Fuel will not go much longer than maybe about 31, 32 laps, but that'd be doing a overcut if you wanted to do that. Or
whoa! 3 and 76 making contact. Sorry to cut you off. Tuggenoff a little bit sideways.
Oh boy, let's have a look. Off into turn 1. 76 pushes up right here and just caught the tire. I don't think there was any ill intent there, just 2 cars kind of in lockstep. Connor, I was going to ask, and I need the rest of the story on the pit situation here, Connor. So 31 to 32 is as long as you can go. Is anybody going to try anything different than that, or is that kind of, well, never mind.
Well,
here comes Lakatos.
I say myself, in case Lakatos wants to try something different, we know he's usually going to do something like that. But this isn't really a bad spot to pit, sort of an undercut. We'll get him some track position for the beginning of the next run, because tire fall off, like we talked about earlier, about 2 seconds. So wrong what everyone else will do. This is going to get him a decent amount of early track position for now, but I don't know how. Not much variance you're going to see here. If you wanted to do a 3-stop, you would have pit at lap 20, but I don't think anyone's really willing to do that. I think we will see a few more takers early. I think we'll see a couple go all the way on the fuel, but for the most part, you probably want to pit around that lap 27 range.
Here comes Mitch Welker on the pit lane. Just saw Bailey Turner take evasive action, not run into the back of Brian Chambliss off of turn 2. Chambliss got a little loose, and Turner had to go top to bottom to miss him, Finian. So maybe the tires are burning off just a touch in the right rear.
Yeah, notably all of the All-American iRacers have come on down. So Welker, Kish, and Mike Hurley have all made the trip down to pit lane. So the team coming in on this lap, I'm hearing more guys calling out. Chad Klinger saying he's coming down to pit lane. Doesn't look like Jeff Wright's going to come on through. Bailey Turner's also going to swing around. Chambliss coming in. Jeremy Miller coming out. Wright does come in. It's going to be a busy time down to pit lane.
Could he slow it down? That was really quick. A fast entry for the 48.
Ended up passing the 9 of Brian Chambliss on the outside. So he's trying to make up ground. I mean, hey, every little inch counts at the end of the day. And Miller is going to be overtaking, or going to at least try to overtake the 9 on pit lane, but came in really hot.
I was watching the 48 as well. Watch him as he comes down to pit lane. Did he get slowed down? There's no way. Oh, maybe.
No black flags for anyone, so he's good.
Wow. Here's another look at it. About as aggressive as you can get on there. Miller, too. But they're on and off. 48 and the 9 of Chambliss. Looks like he's going to come out second in that group. Then Klinger and Miller.
Ooh, and there's some contact between the 3 and the 69 of Zach Passon. And Passon not a happy camper.
Off into turn 3, right there. Whoa! Did he gather that up somehow? Holy cow.
Oh, he gathered it up, and through I think a few outs, but it's the other way.
Wow, that was a pretty wild ride there for a moment. Here's Zach Passon leading the way. Bryce Calusa right behind him. These two have not pitted, and they're going to hit pit lane this time. Will Doug South do the same? Last driver that needs to pit, Bailey Turner, who pit before Jeff Wright. He's going to now lose, or just after rather, he's going to lose a couple spots, but it's going to be Wright and Welker that should take over the lead. And this is going to shuffle things around quite a bit, actually. There's Miller and Klinger. We know these two were not exactly getting along, at least Miller not thrilled with the 30, or excuse me, the 09.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this, it started off kind of like a pack race. And now it's turned more into you're kind of racing by yourself in some ways. Some people closer than others, but the field has definitely spread out quite a bit.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd see this naturally. I thought we'd have everyone still kind of repack back up, but I'm not necessarily set that it's going to stay like this for the rest of the race. But we are about 11 laps from halfway, and Wright has a 1.7 second lead over Welker. Now, Welker was pretty much as quick as Wright before the pit stop sequence. We'll see if he can keep that up after. But Brian Chambliss is right there as well. So second and third are right together. Then Miller and Turner are right together. Ray Massey drops a spot. Where did the 09 go?
09.
Klinger.
He's back in 11th.
He wasn't a minute ago. What happened to him?
This looks like he spent, I don't know.
I see. Watch this replay.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that certainly will do it. Another look at it.
Boy. Great job hanging on to that. He made that look easy.
Definitely had his hands full there for a moment. Massey and Miller now battling for 6th. Welker and Chambliss. This is now for 2nd place. The 96 car on the outside is John Rowland, the Allstate Chevrolet Camaro. Connor?
Well, Jeremy Miller's already been pretty unhappy with Chad Klinger earlier, and kind of just came together there. Miller was trying to let him down. You kind of saw he was trying to get lower and lower, but we've seen here, even in real life, you do not want to be below that bottom seat. You just do not have the grip there to do anything. Miller tried to give Klinger room, but just wasn't going to give him all the room he felt there.
Well, that was certainly something. Watch the 24 here, Finian. Watch how much yaw it has mid-corner. And then watch on exit here. Just loose.
Yeah,
it's so loose.
Yeah, some of these guys are pushing the car looser than others, and again, it really comes to how much these guys are driving on the right rear. Some more than others, and Bailey Turner seems to be like one of those guys driving a little bit more, forcing the car to do his bidding. Here comes Ray Massey with a big run heading off into turn 1.
Yeah, Connor, how much of this is, is this drivers that are putting a lot of wheel into the understeer and getting oversteer as a result, or is this setup very rear loose happy? Because it seems like there's a couple drivers, the 24 included, that are driving all over the right rear of their car.
I think it sort of has to come down to what the air on the front of your nose is doing, or even on the rear is doing. I heard from Michael Hurley that he was all the way loose. He wore the tires out so badly, he was sliding loose. We saw Ryan Kish sort of pushing tight. 96, trying to see, forgot the name for him, John Rowland. He said he was pretty much pushing like a dump truck. So it really comes down to what kind of air you're in, clean or dirty. And also, it does sort of come down to how you're driving it, whether you're sending it in on the right rear or really pushing in the center on the right front. But a lot of it is coming down to how the air affects these cars. And one factor contributing to Bailey Turner's loose condition was easily could have been Ray Massey just all over the rear spoiler of that machine.
Yeah, we're watching. Watch the front bumper versus the rear here on a line that we know is constant. And once Welker slides up the racetrack here a little bit on exit, He's got a little bit of understeer this time, but we'll follow on board with Brian Chambliss again. And just watch how much yaw this car has. And this is not something that they would do naturally on a neutral setup. But off into turn 1. Watch Welker turn in here. And right here, look at how much more the left versus the rear of the car, the left front versus the left rear, is yawed out. That is a lot of right rear pressure, a right rear scrub that rear tire on the right side is going to be subjected to. So that's only going to contribute more to the right rear overheating and getting looser and looser throughout the run.
You know, that's just sort of how the setup is here. You kind of need that little bit of right rear kick out to get it through the corner. That's why we're seeing the fast corner speeds. The track temp isn't too cold. We're up to 105 now. It's been steadily climbing, but you kind of need a little bit of that to make these corner speeds what they are, to really get the grip you need out of the corner. As Doug South, the only driver to go long on stops, he finally came down to pit road, but sort of just a tribute to what this track sort of maintains and pretty much what it demands to be fast here.
Yeah, 35 laps, not a bad stint, Finian, on the fuel, but not going to make it to the halfway point where that would have been a critical thing to learn. But look at this, 76 and 9 battling side by side.
Yeah, great run for Chambliss trying to work that outside. He's been working on the back of Welker for quite a while. Looks like he's finally found a way on pass. Welker, though, benefiting quite a bit on that pit road sequence. Was sitting back, I think, 7th or 8th when that started. Is up now into was in second, now back into third. But overall worked out for the 76. But he's got a lot of ground if he wants to make up to try to win this thing.
Yeah, they're about 2.8 behind Jeff Wright. So they've lost about a second since the pit sequence. So they're not going the right direction if they want to run down the 48, who is looking more and more threatening in the championship. Yeah, he's won 3 races, but they were all at short tracks. And, you know, you could be great at short tracks and suck everywhere else, but Wright has not. And if we wanted to look at his season results so far, he's had 9 starts and he's had none outside the top 10. 5th, 6th, 8th, 3rd, 1st, 7th, 2nd, and 1st. No finishes worse than 8th, and that is the mark of a championship run in my mind.
Yeah, he seems to be doing better at the short tracks than the road courses, than super speedways, and then the mile and a half. So I guess throw this somewhere in the mix, but definitely looking on real solid form. Actually, he's yet to get a top 5 at a intermediate track. I guess if you count, says I guess it's pretty much an intermediate.
Well, we do have a bunch of intermediates coming up. Nashville, Darlington, Chicagoland, 3 in a row. So if he, has a little bit of weaknesses there, that could potentially be a weak point. But no one else is striking at those particular tracks. No one else has really been a dominant force on that particular track layout. We certainly have a road ringer, that's Mitch Welker, but I don't think we've seen anybody in the intermediates show up and dominate the way that the 76 has on road or the 48 has at the short tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Those have kind of been going to a bunch of different drivers. Namely, we mentioned, namely we mentioned Brian Chambliss earlier winning in Atlanta. We saw Adam Cabot, he won at Dover. So a couple different guys claiming the wins columns at the mile and a half. So those have been a bit more of a toss-up. Speaking of Brian Chambliss.
Yeah, Welker has slipped a little bit into 5th place. Bailey Turner is up to 2nd, and last time by, Turner was the fastest car on the racetrack. The 76 and 3 going back at it. These two have had a little bit of contact earlier tonight.
And so now I guess we're seeing Welker slip back a little bit. I mean, as far as difference on pit lane, I guess he did come in earlier than the guys that he's being passed by about a lap or two, but you're seeing the difference in the tire grip right there by everyone just kind of more or less breezing on by him without too much difficulty.
So Bailey Turner is catching Jeff Wright and is now only 2.5 seconds back, which is a gain from when Welker was the 2nd place car. Here's Ray Massey up the inside trying to steal a spot from Chambliss. That's not going to work, not on the bottom like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of noise out of Massey for most of the season. Only 3 top 5 finishes at Bristol, Olmsted, and North Wilkesboro. Other than that, it's been kind of quiet from the 23 camp. Looks like he's trying to change that around here. Put himself further inside the top 5. He can pass Chambliss and Turner.
Well, one more pit stop to deal with as well, and we hit the halfway point this time through, or next time through, it looks like. Oh, no, this time through. Wright, Turner, Chambliss, Massey, Tuggenoff, Welker, and Miller are your points winners for the halfway mark. And with that, only 26 minutes of racing to go. It's just amazing how fast this race is going by. Not a long one by any stretch. Klinger and Passon. And wow, that 09 has fallen off a cliff. And this is what we were talking about earlier. Started this race on pole and led a couple of laps, 2, and then dropped out of existence, almost outside of the top 10 at this point. Now, this is just sort of par for the course and why the season has been so disappointing despite the strong early runs that Klinger has had.
Yeah, I definitely think that slide didn't do him any favors after getting a little bit of help from the 30, who's just up the road in 7. But yeah, this second run is not, besides that, the second run has not been kind to him. So it has some work to do. I think he's just got to go for caution just to reset everything. But he's got one more pit stop to kind of get everything right. But yeah, it's not looking too terribly good for the 09 after starting on pole.
No, and the thing I've seen, and this is true of the 30 car of Miller as well, is they start well, they run well, they drop into the mid to back pack, and then the cautions, if they come, they don't ever take advantage of them. That's really the biggest differentiating mark is drivers like Bailey Turner or Tuggenoff or Welker or Carwile especially will take advantage of those caution flags and use it to rejuvenate their run, but we just don't see that with these other drivers. We should also mention that we've been green since the drop of the green flag initially, and my prediction says that we're not going to see a caution in this race. We're going to go green from flag to flag.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if we do go green all the way, with everyone more spread out than we were in the initial run. And the initial run was looking kind of dicey. The odds of us getting people back together again is going to be slim to none. So I think we're going to potentially see this go out for the long term. And if you saved your stuff, if you looked after your equipment, that's great. If you've been abusing it, you're probably dreading starting this race. So some guys are going to be having a good time. Some guys just waiting for a caution to come out.
I'll tell you what. There are those that like places like Michigan and like places like Fontana, and then there are those that absolutely detest places like this because they're so sensitive to tire wear, they're so sensitive to temperature change, they're so sensitive to the line that you take, less so than a place like a short track or a road course. And the laps take longer too, so these races can sort of drag on if you're not particularly fond of these 2-mile speedways. So there's some drivers that are really enjoying themselves. I think Turner would put himself in that camp. There's others that are not having a good day. Laughter, Lakatos, Hurley, South, Rowland, those drivers just trying to get through it. Here's a battle for second, Chambliss and Turner. They are still closing in on Wright, but just a little bit at a time, 2.3 back from the 48.
Yeah, Chambliss is trying to find a lane to go. See if he can try to get a one-up on Turner. There's nowhere to really go. And he's also got to worry about Ray Massey in behind him. Massey's been getting some really good runs, giving him a little bit of a bump down the back straightaway now. But even for Massey, too, there's not too much of a place to go. You can try to go to the inside. You're just going to burn up your tires, though. So that's not really the best move.
I think we're about 10 laps from the majority of the field making their final pit stop. So in the next 5 to 10, I'd expect to see everybody start coming on down. Here's Massey to the inside. Andrew Tuggenoff is joining the party. There's 3 on the outside. Nose to tail.
You can see that he wants to go to the inside, but can't quite do it. He's Tuggenoff, though, doing the opposite. He's going to try to work it around the outside. Nothing for Massey to do. He's going to try to force. He's been forced that car hard to turn left and just going to slide back up in front of the 3.
Ooh, 3 car wants the bottom now, but is that the place to go? Off into turn 3. He's going to try it. I think he needed a little bit more overlap to get the job done. He will pass Ray Massey, put himself into 4th. Really like the speed I'm seeing out of the 3 car at this stage of the race. And we've seen him do well in these long green flag run, big track races. Tuggenoff really excels at this kind of racing. And last time by, he was a little quicker than Chambliss as well, but the fastest 2 were the 2 leaders and 6th place Mitch Welker and 7th place Ryan Carwile. I'll keep an eye on that duo, but additionally. So 33 laps to go next time by. And we have seen that you can make it to the end from here. We saw Doug South go 35 laps on his opening run, so you could theoretically pit now. I don't think you would. I think you can wait another 5 to 6 laps. Connor?
It's actually great timing. As I joined, Michael Hurley was just talking about coming in this time by, so his teammates were sort of unsure of him doing it, but he said he wanted to try to mix things up a little bit, so we'll see if he comes in this time. He is in the 15th position. He will pass by pit road, so he's at least talking about it. We have at least one driver thinking about it. And speaking of drivers thinking about something, Mitch Welker is trying to think about how to save the tires. I think he pit a little bit earlier than what he wanted to. He tried to save tires, said it really didn't make a difference, although he was just finally starting to catch those leaders up ahead of him. So not much that Welker has figured out so far in the art of saving tires, I suppose.
Well, we were just talking about him previously. He's was one of the quicker cars on the racetrack a little while ago, but that was certainly after that kind of
battle for a third.
Mid-run fight here as we see Chambliss losing a spot to Tuggenoff. Connor, the car I had my eyes on was this 3 car. Tuggenoff has continued to move forward at a pretty fervent pace here mid-run.
Yeah, he's been pretty fast here. All of a sudden, he's going to move up to that 3rd position. We'll see if he wants to get the Bailey Turner. He has been faster than the past few laps, and even doing that through traffic, so we'll have to wait and see. He hasn't been too friendly with a lot of drivers. I saw the incident with, I believe that was the 69 of Zach Passon, who definitely has a strong dislike for Tuggenoff at this moment. It looks like Bailey Turner's actually come down to pit road. Did not expect that this early.
Yeah, a little bit of an early stop for the 24. The 09 is going to come in as well. Klinger needed some life support. He's going to slide down to pit road speed and come in behind the 24 car. But Finian, this 3 is really looking strong. He's up to 2nd place now. And they did lose a little bit of ground to Jeff Wright and all of that, but I think that 3 car might be a little quicker over this last run.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up. The 3 teammates with Jeff Wright, along with the 09 and the 9 of Chambliss. So the entire team, Billy Racing, doing really good for themselves.
Klinger on pit lane finally, and that 09, there goes the 24. 14.5 second stop, not the quickest one he could have gotten, not the slowest by any stretch. He'll release.
I think he might have shot himself in the foot coming in too early. I mean, obviously, let's see if that's going to work out, but we saw Welker. He got immediately passed back, and I mean, he's still hanging in there with these top guys, but it didn't work out for him in the long term pitting in that earlier. I feel like you're going to want to come in a little bit later if you can. Not too much later, obviously, but not too early as well.
So we talked about the overcut strategy, Finney, and that came into effect a couple weeks ago at the short tracks. I don't like overcuts at short tracks. I like overcuts at the bigger tracks when, a run is physically longer. The track is longer. You've got longer corners. Jeff Wright is going to hit pit lane here from the lead. I like overcut strategies at these bigger tracks, not the smaller ones. So I think you want to stay out longer, and that's why I really like what the 3 car is doing here. If he stays out a couple more laps, maybe 4 to 5 more laps, I like the call that Tuggenoff is doing. Connor?
Bailey Turner, pretty much all he had to say was he had to try to do something different. We saw last week at Iowa, he played the long game with Jeff Wright, and it did not work out in his favor, so he figured he might as well try something different, pit early, get on a different sequence, not play the 48's game, make the 48 play his game. It's clearly worked as he pretty much brought Jeff Wright down the pit road.
Yeah, so he forced the 48 to come, but they are neglecting the 3 car of Tuggenoff because, as I was mentioning as you stepped in here, Connor, the overcut doesn't work at a short track because the laps are so short. Here at a bigger track, I like staying out longer because you've just got more time left with the number of laps that are remaining. So if I'm the 3, I'm feeling like I'm in a pretty good position. The problem for the 3 car is that he was 3 seconds back before the pit stop sequence began, so he's got a lot of work to do once he comes back out.
And I think you just called out that he's coming down at pit lane.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious who else is going to follow. No one's calling on the radio, but I imagine some other guys are going to be thinking behind him doing it. Will some of his teammates come in? Let's see. Here comes the 3.
Carlisle.
Yeah, this is the mathematical split for the perfect thirds here. So this would make sense that a few more drivers would join.
And Bailey Turner ahead of the 48. I'm not sure for how much longer, again, with the tire difference, but Turner winning that strategy in the short run.
Yeah, you see it's about a half a second right now. And Turner got the track position he wanted. Be great if he could get a yellow flag and kind of reset. I think that would be helpful for the 24. But again, I don't think that he or anybody else is planning on getting a yellow before the end of this race. It's been so clean and so green. That would be wishful thinking.
Ray Massey coming on in. Chambliss, he's going to stay out another lap. Same thing with Welker, too. Miller staying out, Passon staying out. So a few more guys actually staying out.
Yeah, Welker had a real close moment with the 20, who came to pit lane a couple laps ago, has fresh tires. They got really tight out of turn 4. That was a bit of a dicey moment. Passon and Jeremy Miller, this is a battle for third. And all running long here on this cycle to hope to have the freshest Goodyears towards the end of the race.
Everyone putting their hand into strategy, quite a few different strategies, which you love to see, because obviously one of these guys has gotten it right. We just don't know who yet.
Right. I mean, somebody's figured it out. I don't think anybody knows the magic key
Up
is.
for Wright and Turner side by side into turn one. Wright gonna go through on the inside. Turner trying to fight hard on the outside.
Oh, almost a touch there at the exit at turn 2. Turner will hang on for now.
And Turner knows that he needs to make Wright push his tires more to kind of equal them out a little bit better, because currently Wright has the advantage. So he's got to force his hand.
He's on throttle so much sooner than Turner in 3 and 4. This is going to be an easy pass here, but Turner's going to have to block. Can't do it. Wright goes to the bottom. This is a battle for what will cycle out to be the lead. Turner's going to have to use that outside groove to sort of carry the speed.
It's going to be hard. He's a little far back. He's going to try to gas it up and force it, but that 48's got some more grip on the bottom. 48 slides his way up the track back into what should be the lead, but they're not done yet. Here comes Turner back again.
Trying to side draft down the backstretch. Here he comes to the inside. Can he lunge and grab this spot back? I don't think he's got the strength to do it, but he's going to charge into turn 3. Try to slide up. He can't do it. Wright takes the lead back from him.
Oh, Wright almost puts himself on the wall trying to take the lead back from him. Turner fought hard, but that's all he could really do.
That's all she wrote. Now, interesting, though, because those two fighting is going to keep it's going to kill some of their time. Now, Andrew Tuggenoff just ran a half-second faster than both of those drivers. He's about 6 seconds back. That's a long way, Finian, but I don't think it's out of the question yet that the 3 could run them both down by the end of this thing.
Yeah, I still think Wright came in maybe a little bit too early. Again, time is going to tell at the end of the race when all the strategies cycle out. If Tuggenoff has enough time to catch back up, and if Wright's tires are going to fall off enough. Now, it's kind of one of the things you have to wait and see.
Looks like Welker, Kish, and Lakatos are trying to play the real long overcut here. Now, they might be pushing this a bit too far, because 20 laps around here is not 20 laps around a place like Talladega. That's not a ton of time.
Right. Sorry, Welker, his tires, it looks like they're about to go down a tire.
Oh, boy.
The car's looking hard into the wall. I just don't understand why he's staying out this long. I feel like he probably should have come in a lap or 2 earlier, but now it seems like he's pushing it, as you mentioned, pushed it past the point where he's going to be able to make this up under green, because we're only going to have 20 laps to go.
Yeah, you're just going to run yourself out of time, right? You're going to have a much better pace, but lap time that you would have as an advantage over somebody 15 laps after the checkered falls isn't going to do you any good. So there's definitely, with a limited fuel load and a track like this size, there's a very limited window under which I think you've got the right strategy. I think Tuggenoff is in it. I don't think the 76 is. He's going to peel off to pit lane. He'll probably bring his teammate with him.
And here comes Kish on down to pit lane. And with that, cycle out our leaders.
And that would turn into Jeff Wright, who has got a 1.5 second lead over Bailey Turner already. And Andrew Tuggenoff is 4.8 behind Turner. But last time by, Tuggenoff was only about 1.5 tenths faster than Jeff Wright. So is he burning his stuff up, or does Wright just have pace that's that much better?
I think Wright just got that much more pace over the 24. I don't think Bailey is quite there.
Well, that time was 4 tenths. That was 4 tenths quicker. That's better. It's just going to have to be 4 tenths quicker a lot more. Connor?
Yeah, we saw that battle with Bailey Turner and Jeff Wright. Could be for the win. Bailey Turner pretty much said on the radio that it was worth a try. We obviously heard him say he had to do something different. Jeff was sort of questioning why he was racing him so hard, because to Jeff Wright, at least, it was pretty apparent that Bailey Turner wasn't going to be able to hold him off for about 20.
Oh, I think, sorry to cut you off, I think Welker got bought for speeding.
Yeah, saw a cloud of smoke when he came down pit lane previously. And I think he might have gotten caught. Let's have a look.
Oh, yeah, he absolutely got caught. He came through the line at 75 miles an hour.
Let's look at the replay. Caught the grass on entry. I'm sure that didn't help. And right here.
He also hit the cone a little bit. This is not all-star qualifying. It looked like it for a moment there.
It came in guns blazing. It's going to put him all the way back in 15th a lap down.
Oh. And this is important because, remember, Welker is in the championship hunt. Came into the night 3rd in the standings. This is going to hurt him a lot. But I'm still keeping my eye on this 3 car. He's 5.2 back from the leader. And last time by was 8 tenths faster than Turner and 6 tenths faster than Jeff Wright. And that time through 7 tenths faster than Turner and 3 tenths faster than Wright. He is coming. The question is, how much longer will that advantage last for?
Yeah, I'm doubting I'm doubting his chances that he's going to catch up to Wright. I think he's got a solid shot at catching Turner. Wright's going to be a much bigger question mark, though.
Well, the other thing to consider is once he gets to Turner, how much time does he have to faff
Spend
around with the
passing it,
24
right.
before he has to run down
he's
48?
not just going to go straight on through, right? So it's going to be a battle.
And we saw how much the 24 is willing to fight, too. He's not just going to roll over and let him go.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jeff Wright leads the way. Let's have a look at our race leaders and where he is in relation to the other drivers around him. Here comes the 48. This is what 2.7 seconds looks like. And another 2.2 back to Tuggenoff. Gap from Wright to Tuggenoff, 4.9. Another 3/10 gain that time by for the three.
Yeah, I tell you what, poor day for Toyota. One Toyota in the top 10. You can see a huge stack of them all the way outside of the top 10.
Well, this is Michigan. This is Detroit's home turf. So
it almost looks fixed. Out of the 17 cars that are here, out of the top 10, 6 of them are Toyotas.
Well, Ford and Chevy.
Actually, we're about to see changing that. Ryan Kish working on Chad Klinger. It's actually not going to be close down the front straightaway. Kish gets the run. Remember, Kish came in very late in pit lane. Klinger, not so much, about a 10-lap difference in tires. You can see right there already the gap he's pulling.
Yeah, 2 cars, 2 Toyotas in the top 10 now. From the lead, Jeff Wright, again, lost another 3/10 to Tuggenoff last time by. Tuggenoff, I will say, has a 6/10 of a second advantage over Bailey Turner. So when he gets there, if he picks his line and picks his battle the right way, he shouldn't even have to spend a lot of time around Turner. If he can just pick a lane and somehow squeeze around Turner without him impeding, there won't be side-by-side. He'll have that pass done before Turner can do anything about it.
Yeah, he's gonna have to drive like he has to in India. Like you have to drive in India, you got to make a lane. No paved lines. Make your own lane and stick to it. 9 times out of 10 over.
Yeah, still about a 3/10 of a second advantage per lap for Tuggenoff. And the gap is now 4 seconds flat. So that was about 1 second in 4 laps. And if you do the math, 4 seconds every 4 laps. Or, yeah, he'll gain 4 seconds in the next 16. Math hard is hard.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
You said 4 seconds every 4 laps.
No,
I think you meant 4
1
tenths.
second every 4, and he has 4 seconds to make up. So,
okay, that's what I mean. Yeah.
So he
That makes sense.
could get there. It's looking less likely. But, there, every couple laps he'll get a 5 or 6/10 of a second gain, and that's a lot.
Yeah, the question is how much more is Tuggenoff tires are going to be good when they're going to start kind of going off a cliff. Assuming that the tire life follow is going to be linear for both of these guys,
Well,
and you can bet that the 3's pushing.
The thing is, the 48 will drop off that cliff before he will. But as you mentioned, the 48's kind of coasting right now. The 3 is absolutely shredding those Goodyears, trying to catch and take advantage of this. Either way, this is going to be a good night for the 3, good points night. But that 48 will expand his lead if they finish as is. So he certainly doesn't want that. Now, his battle has sort of stalled 4 seconds flat still in the last 2 laps, so that's not going to do him any good.
Yeah, he's kind of meeting that point in the run where it is going to kind of start to stall. I'm actually kind of surprised at how much it did stall out, almost at the same time as Turner.
It's interesting because he's stalling essentially where he was prior to the pit stop. So this is actually sort of a net zero move for him, which is a little surprising. I thought this would have been an advantageous thing to do. I mean, he might, well, that time through, that was a pretty good lap. He's only 3.6 back now. But again, I think he just needed a little bit. He needed to be closer before. If he was within a second before the pit stop sequence, this would have been a really good strategy, and he would have gotten something more out of it. But the fact that he was 3 seconds back when he tried it, even if he ends up gaining, he's still going to be a couple seconds behind. So he just needs a couple more really good laps, and he'll have Turner in his clutches. But I think you're right. I don't think he's going to have enough to get to Jeff. All the other battles have sort of fizzled as well, with 12 laps to go.
Yeah, I'm too surprised. Everyone's kind of found their own little pocket of track and kind of sticking to it, compared to the start of the race where we saw everyone pretty much within the front straightaway of each other.
Where is the 09 of Chad Klinger, our pole sitter in this race? All the way back in 11th place. Not even in line to grab a top 10 out of the day. That is a disappointing run.
No, and he's probably going to be passed by Lakatos, who's catching him at about 3/4 a lap. So they drop back to 12 before this is all said and done. Connor?
Just going back to the comment I was making before we saw the speeding penalty. Sorry, I just keep watching Jeremy Miller pound the wall over and over again. He's been doing that for the past 7 laps. That's besides the point. But what I was trying to say was Jeff Wright was kind of, not, I would say upset, but just maybe a little bit frustrated with Bailey Turner because in his eyes, he knew Bailey Turner was not going to be able to hold him off for 25 more laps. So he was kind of confused as to why Bailey Turner was racing him so hard. But obviously, Bailey Turner was trying something different to get that race lead and potentially a race win away from Jeff Wright. So I would ask, what do you guys think? Do you think that's sort of wrong of Bailey to do, or is that pretty much fair play when you're racing for the effective lead?
They signed up for a race, didn't they?
I would think so.
I think it's fair game. I think you race him hard, right? I mean, that was Bailey's move, and he had to make it work. He didn't hit him. He didn't crash him. He didn't even rub him. They had a fair, clean race, and they raced, really well, Finian.
It's called a motor race, Jeff.
We're going motor racing. Yeah, I mean, that's I get Jeff's perspective, though, right? I mean, you're out front. You've got, a huge head of steam, and you got a guy holding you up and just wasting your time. I think Martin Truex Jr. last week at Dover was upset about Ross Chastain doing something similar, and yeah, I totally get it. If I was Martin Truex, I would have walled Ross Chastain in 2 seconds. But if I'm Ross Chastain, I signed up for a race. I'm going to do everything I can to keep that guy behind me.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as it's not illegal, right?
Well,
might as well do it.
The thing about the difference here is that this is for the lead, and Ross is blocking for 4th. So. They're losing ground to the drivers ahead of you, and you're netting out 0. But here, there's no one ahead that you're losing ground to. You're just losing ground to yourself. So
if you ain't 4th or 5th.
Is that what they said? Is that what Lewis said after qualifying?
Yeah, that's all he can say after the season's car.
Don't take my watches, Bono. 8 laps to go. This time through, Jeff Wright leads the way. We've had no cautions. We've been caution-free. And here is the battle for second. Tuggenoff is there. He has made up about 4 seconds on Jeff Wright, but with only 8 laps to go, even if he gets by this 24, I think it's game over to get to 48.
Oh, I think it's definitely game over to get the 48. Well, I like to be optimistic in these situations, but yeah, it's not happening. However, this battle definitely very much alive and very much a chance for both these guys to get through. Depends on how much of a fight the 24 is going to do and how much it's going to burn off the 3's tires.
Ooh. Or will the 3 lean on the 24 at all?
Looked like he was thinking of it, if not just trying to scare him out of it.
Here he comes.
There goes the 3. Down to the apron. Actually doesn't quite get to the apron. He's going to go down the white line. Now force the 24 up the track.
Yeah. Wow, that was almost a touch there off into turn 1. They chased him right back across the surface. And now door-to-door through the first corner. And Tuggenoff clear Turner. He will, not by a lot, but he will. Here comes the 24 crossed over. Oh, that's very tight.
It is very tight now. We'll see. Is Turner going to dive it off into the corner and slide in front of the 3, or will Tuggenoff be able to rip that outside lane?
Clears him. Here comes the 3 back to the bottom.
Turner doing a great job of defending because there isn't a whole lot he can do. He's at a disadvantage, so he's just got to basically use that car like a weapon.
Oh,
and try to hold
wow.
up Tuggenoff.
Swipe across the tailpipes of the 24. Almost turned him into turn 1. That was very close.
We're definitely heading in that direction if this continues for any longer.
Oh, he's running the quarter panel through turn 2. Side by side for second place. Turner and Tuggenoff battling. They touch. They door slam out of turn 2.
And just ran out of room again. Both these guys forcing their tires hard. They're not as good as they were 20 laps ago, so they're going to start hurting.
Big dive from Tuggenoff. Can he make it stick? Turner turns to the bottom. Out of turn 4 again. On throttle. He's going to hit the rear bumper of the 3. 5 laps to go. Tuggenoff and Turner slinging it for second place at Michigan.
Turner had to let off the gas off the corner to try to avoid in the 3. I'm kind of surprised. I thought he was just going to keep his foot in it. Try to look to the outside. Now he's on the back of the 3. What's he going to do?
Oh, pushed him again into turn 1. Had a little bit too much speed, did Tuggenoff, but now Turner's got no turn. Through turn 2.
Yeah, he's struggling.
Not enough tire, but that brought Ray Massey into the mix. Does Ray have anything for either of these two in the last couple moments of this race?
Actually, Ray Massey has 5 laps better tires than the 24, so he could definitely be a threat.
So did Turner cost himself another spot by fighting that position? That's something to keep your eye on as well. 4 laps to go. Wright leads by 4 seconds over Tuggenoff and Turner, and now Massey closes in from 4th. That was a great battle.
That really was. I thought it was going to get uglier, but I'm glad it didn't.
I think those two guys have a lot of respect for each other at the end of the day. They might throw jabs at each other now and then, physically and verbally, but I think in the heat of the moment, they're getting after it and leaving each other some space. But that was, locking elbows and arm wrestling, but nothing more than that, thankfully. Here comes Massey.
And where does Massey go in all this, and how much is Turner going to fight for this position?
Massey's going to push the 24. Nope, he's going to dive to the inside last second. Into turn 1, I think Turner's got to stay on the outside here.
He's going to try to stay outside. It's going to be a hard thing to do. He's going to try to cut it back low, but that car is not going to turn as well.
He had to lift. The 23
he had to lift and throw off a lot of momentum here. He's going to get a little bit of a side draft on the 23. Try to do everything he can. You see almost dooring the 23 off into turn 3.
Remember, Turner's missed a couple races as well, so that's why he's down in the standings. Otherwise, it's been a very good season. He's going to slide up in front of the 23. Massey keeps the overlap, though, all the way to the wall, and now has to tuck back in line. Bailey Turner is making that 24 car very, very wide.
You'll have to go out the line for both these guys. Massey starting to run out of time, only 8 more turns to try to find some sort of way around the 24.
Running out of corners. 4 miles. Maybe make it 3 now as they head down the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's going to wrap up very quickly. Massey's got to figure out a game plan and figure it out fast.
Jeff Wright rolls through turns 3 and 4. Has a 3.5 second lead. Tuggenoff is still running him down, but again, I think he's going to run out of time. But 2 miles left here at Michigan International Speedway for Jeff Wright. 1 lap to go for the Outsider Racing League round number 10 as Massey and Turner still scrap for 3rd.
You can see them both on the apron now up towards the wall. Massey's going to make a dive low hard into turn 1.
Now he's going to chuck it down there. I think Turner, he's not going to make it. Turner's going to cross him up here.
He tried to do a Carl Edwards there. Unlike Carl Edwards, didn't smack the wall. Although here he comes out of the corner. Ooh, Turner almost smacks into the 23.
Side by side for 3rd place. Turner's got the spot. Massey on the outside into turn 3. He hits him.
He pushes him.
Into 3 and 4. Nose to tail contact. Checkered flag, though, for Jeff Wright. 4th win of the season. The first time at anything other than a short track. Jeff Wright wins at Michigan. Tuggenoff 2nd place, and Massey and Turner 4th and 3rd, respectively. Wow.
They gave him a shove into the corner, and fortunately, I think actually helped the 24 on that occasion.
Chambliss and Passett came across the line only 97 thousandths of a second apart. And here's what that looked like. Nose to tail, less than a 10th. Jeff Wright, victorious for the first time this season.
Yeah, how many laps did he lead?
Well, for the first time he's won a race this season at anything other than a short track, he led 61 of the 80 laps. That is domination.
Yeah, I was going to say about 75, 76% of the laps led. That's pretty dang good.
Wow. Jeff Wright gets it done, Connor. First time he's won at a track larger than a mile this season. He is certainly a championship favorite at this point.
It's not a championship favorite, he is the championship favorite. It's pretty hard to find another driver who looks more poised to win it all than this 48 machine right now. Extends that all-time mark to 16 total wins. Did it once again in dominating fashion, pretty much almost how we did last week at Iowa, how we did at a few of the short tracks this season, especially North Wilkesboro, where we saw him just absolutely decimate the competition, and he's done it again today. Really never had a realistic competition. He passed Chad Klinger, pretty much controlled his teammates early, and pretty much played into Bailey Turner's game, and he played it better than Bailey himself today.
Well, even glitching out of the internet here, even doing his burnouts. But Jeff Wright led 61 of 80 laps and will get the job done here at Michigan. Well done, well deserved. and celebrating in the infield section here into Gatorade Victory Lane. Let's roll through our results. Top of the order, of course, Jeff Wright, the 48, then Tuggenoff in the 3. Bailey Turner, the 24, finishes 3rd place. And Connor, he fought hard for that position. Maybe made some enemies tonight, but it was a heck of a show to watch.
And it looked like Ray Massey almost tried to wreck him in turn number 3. He looked very frustrated, at least from the contact he made with him in turn 3. Frustrated with how he raced him, but that's how Bailey was racing. Everyone had the older tires, was just fighting so hard to keep everyone behind him. He just barely squeaked into the top 3 with the defensive moves he was making.
Then down the order, Ray Massey, 4th place, gave a shot to the tailpipes of the 24 in the final moments. Carwile sneaks out of top 5. Chambliss, Passon, Calusa, Kish, Laughter, the rest of your top 10. Finian, pole sitter Chad Klinger, disappointing night for him. And the 76 Mitch Walker pit lane penalty ended his day.
Yeah, they're both those guys who were hurting quite a bit, especially for Klinger too. I think was really looking forward to getting a potential win. It's amazing how much he fell off the pace, but yeah, as we were talking about earlier, just got back in traffic and was never quite able to recover. And then obviously with Welker too, that penalty, definitely the last thing he needed. He was set for a decent midfield finish, but that definitely hurt him quite a bit.
Well, Bailey Turner finished 3rd tonight. A hard-fought 3rd, maybe the hardest-fought 3rd we've seen all season. Bailey have some damage to the rear of your car to show for it, but you had everything left out there on the racetrack, battling Jeff Wright for the lead, then Tuggenoff for 2nd, and then holding off Ray Massey for 3rd. Take us through your night and battling amongst the top group there at the end. Is there anything you could have done different to have a bit of a better shot at holding on to those spots?
If I'm being honest, probably not. Just starting 6th didn't help. I had some computer issues throughout practice. Took up most of my practice, so I didn't get to learn a lot. I was learning a lot on the fly there. So just happy to, eventually drive up to, I think I got up to 3rd place on that first run. And then following that, I was like, all right, I'm just going to overcut him by a lap or 2. And just how good Jeff got in and out of pit road on that first session, I knew I was probably in a bad spot. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna react and go early this time, and maybe not make the same mistake I made last week. And he was just in a league of his own. I tried to do everything I could holding him off, and then just the massive tire difference between the other guys behind me. I was doing everything I could right there to hang on, and I probably didn't make too many people happy there in that little battle right there. But I was trying to do the best I could, bring it home in a top 3.
Top 3, Bailey Turner, congratulations. Well earned 3rd place tonight. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Move on now to Andrew Tuggenoff, 2nd place in the number 3, and Andrew is back on it tonight. A late race battle with Bailey Turner led you to 2nd place, a couple seconds shy of catching Jeff Wright, Andrew, but you have to be thrilled with how tonight went. A hard-fought start in 7th all the way up to 2nd.
Yeah, first run there, this car is, it's very sensitive to the air in front of you. So, we start 7th, pretty much middle of the pack, last 3 of the pack, and we were struggling that first run, but, unfortunately for a lot of guys, we learned after that first pit stop that pitting one lap early doesn't help you. I don't know, tire model sucks, this car sucks, the cars all suck, they all drive like crap, but, we prevailed, podium finish, and, it really feels like a win for me. It's been a little bit, it seems like it's been forever since I've been up here. It's been a rough couple weeks on the track, here at home, and the past week or so, I've had a lot of support emotionally. It's just been rough, and just to come out of here 2nd place, it's just feels good. And good race there with Bailey at the end. Good win, Jeff. We got to beat him. We got to figure it out somehow. But this is like medicine. Feels pretty good to come out of here with at least a top 3 finish.
Well, 2nd place is certainly going to be a good night for you, Andrew. Congratulations! I can tell you that you're worn out, tired, and I can hear the emotion in your voice as well. Congratulations on a 2nd place, and this is certainly looking good for you in terms of a run at the championship, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Moving on now to Jeff Wright, his 4th win of the season, and his first win at a track longer than a mile. Jeff, tonight, it's not a surprise to see you here, but after the places you've been winning at this season, I think we could be forgiven if we expected to wait a little longer to see you back here after your win last week at Iowa. Take us through your night and the battle you had there with Bailey towards the end.
Yeah, I think Ray Massey gave me some luck tonight because he was talking in the Discord before the race saying how I've been the one to beat and stuff, and that I told him, I was like, well, we're not going to short track tonight, so don't expect me. And I truly thought that. I typically don't. Michigan's not one of the tracks I like to go to a lot, but track position was key here tonight for sure, and that's probably what put us in a position here to be able to win. I don't think, if we didn't start top 5, I don't think we could have won, just because the race went green to the end. And I heard the guys talking, it was so hard to pass tonight, and shout out to Andrew. He started towards I think 9th or 10th back there, and he worked his way up to P2, so that's really, really impressive. But yeah, it's nice to win on a track other than a short track this season. It just, I don't know, for whatever reason, just felt like it couldn't got it done at tracks like this year. But I don't know if your stat man Connor Horn can go back and look at the last time I won at a track that wasn't a short track or a road course, but I don't know how long, but I feel like it's been a long time.
Well, it certainly hasn't been a long time since you've won a race in the series. That was last week. 10 races this season, and you've been in the top 10 times. And now 7 top 5s as well and 4 wins. So certainly not a bad record so far this season. Looking forward, though, Jeff, to next time out. Next week will be Nashville, then Darlington, then Chicagoland, and then the Indy Road Course, Talladega, Kansas, Las Vegas, and Fontana. A lot of intermediate tracks on the schedule. That's something that's been a while since you've tamed. Got you at the 2 mile, got you at the sub 1 mile. What about those intermediates?
Yeah, some of the intermediates I really do like. I really like Chicagoland. I like Las Vegas. Those are really just fun tracks in general. In whatever car you drive them in. Unfortunately, there's some tracks I don't do so hot at, Darlington being one of them, Nashville, which is next week, and I absolutely hate Nashville, but I'm actually probably not going to be here next week. I might be in Kansas City to watch some NASCAR there at the Kansas Speedway, so I might be missing Nashville, and to be honest with you, I'm totally fine with that because I'd probably run 15th anyway. One guy who's going to be somebody to look out there is going to be Adam Cabot. He said I think he's coming back to try to get a run at the most win record again in ORL. So wouldn't be surprised if he shows up and tries to snag a win. He's always really competitive. But yeah, other than that, looking at the rest of the tracks, like I think I told you last week, I wasn't super excited the way the schedule looks the rest of the season. But yeah, there's a few 1.5 miles on there that I think I can go compete at. But the ultimate goal, is trying to get another championship here in ORL. I love this league. Appreciate all the admins and everybody who puts the time in to make this league happen. I always appreciate you guys for the broadcast you guys do each and every week. You do such a great job. And then just a quick shout out again to Andrew on that P2. He's had a rough week this week, so I'm super stoked for him to have a good run. And I know he's going to be a threat when we go to Darlington, so look out.
Oh, by the way, I did find that stat. The last time you won an oval over a mile was actually at Chicagoland. That was November of 2020, and about a month before that, you won at Michigan. So this is your second win at Michigan as well.
Oh, how about that? I don't suppose you were in the field, though, were you?
I don't think I was. I didn't qualify for that one.
Gotcha. See, that might be why.
That's what we pay him for, Jeff. Thanks for sending him on a mission to find that. Thanks, Jeff. Congratulations, and we'll see you next week, or the week after, depending on where you end up. We'll see you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, Connor, final thoughts on Jeff Wright. Again, he has been, as you mentioned, the championship favorite. He's put himself in position, but tonight he just absolutely put on a show. Might miss out next week, but he's got a pretty comfortable lead now to protect and play defense for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he might miss next week, and he'll most likely still be the points leader. I think Andrew Tuggenoff put it best. He's his own teammate. We got to find a way to beat him. No one's found a way to really beat him on a consistent basis. I believe that's going to be his 4th win of the season. He's racking them up pretty quickly now. These aren't close wins either. He's won these by multiple seconds. No one really in his way to these race wins. It's pretty, we've already said it time and time again, but he's looking pretty unbeatable right now. And maybe he's not confident on some tracks, but it's going to be really hard to beat this 48. I think the only way you really beat him for the championship, at least the way it's going right now, is if he just doesn't show up, which, with how committed he seems to this championship run, that's just not going to happen.
Finian, final thoughts on Michigan. 6 different leaders, 11 lead changes, but 61 of the 80 led by that 48.
Yeah, I was gonna say it seems like there was a decent amount of back and forth, but it was pretty much dominated by one man. That's Jeff Wright. Really solid job by him. Really solid racing by everyone all around. Saw some pretty hard battles, some beating and banging, but no wreck. So everyone kept it nice and clean. Can't wait for the next one.
That'll do it tonight from Sim TV. The Outsider Racing League Round 10 is complete. Nashville Super Speedway next week. We'll see you there, 10 p.m. Eastern on Sim TV.